And I'm Kaylee.
Let's see if the void echoes back today.
So today on our first episode, full length, hopefully, I don't know what that means, but whatever.
We're figuring it out. We're
first
seeing how
episode,
the conversation flows.
talking about books. Here we are talking about the Fourth Wing series.
Yeah.
Woo woo!
We just
So
finished
excited.
the series. Probably like 3 weeks ago?
Yes, but regardless if we finish this series, that's not what the fuck we're talking about right now.
No.
We're talking about the first couple of chapters.
I had a point. My point was we finished this 3 weeks ago and we really enjoyed it and thought it would be a great one to start with because it is very easy to digest if you've never really read a fantasy book and you're trying to get into it. And I know it's very popular, so it is something people have read for the most part. So we thought it'd be a great one and we really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to start with this one. That was my point.
Great. I love that she actually had a point.
I did. I wasn't just saying something for once.
Okay. I also think that for me, one of the reasons why I was really excited to do this book first is because it has, I think, the most interactive fan base and theories going on because it is so new and it is still coming out. So I'm very excited to talk about that and discuss all of that.
Yes, I agree. Because the theories are really, really fun. I really enjoy just like opening my phone and seeing all of these fun theories with everybody.
Yeah. And now I'm willing to look at them because she sends me videos all the time. I ignore her all the time.
I know, but now you could actually watch them. And it was stuff the stuff I was sending you was spoiler free. It was. I didn't want to watch spoilers. If I saw a spoiler, I left it alone.
It's very iffy. I think we all have like that one friend that thinks that we're a little bit further along than we might actually be. So, anyway, back to this chapter 1.
Yes, so we're doing chapters 1 through 5 today. And yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, so chapter 1 is obviously mostly just a setup. We see Violet Sorengale in the office talking to her mother, who we later find out in the chapter is a
general.
Yes.
And she is arguing with Mira, Violet's sister, because Mira does not want Violet to go into the Rider's Quadrant because she has a physical disability.
Yeah, but also not only that is something that Mira does bring up most often is that her mother took no part in her childhood in the sense of doing drills with her.
Yes.
Training her to get ready for parapet.
Yeah,
training her to, go in and be a rider.
Yeah, she was trained to be a squadron like her father, who had a scribe. She was trained to be a scribe like her father, but her father did pass away after her brother passed away.
I don't even know if they say that the brother had passed away yet.
It's still
in the
early
first chapter.
I thought it did. I feel like that's such common knowledge that's not a spoiler.
I don't know. Once again, so sorry, guys. This is what I mean by she just runs with things.
I swear it was mentioned in the first chapter when they're packing up her stuff.
I know that it is mentioned that the dad died, but I don't think that the brother was mentioned.
But I think it was, because they mentioned every single time the dad died because the brother died and he died of a heart attack.
That's true. Maybe. We'll see.
Well, I guess we have to go reread again.
Yeah. 3rd time's the charm. But I love that Mira is like such a diehard sibling.
Yes, she is. We love Mira.
Like, she is balls to the wall. Like, I will fight to protect you no matter what.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate like how tough and how resilient she is and how much she really does stand her ground with a powerful general, even though it is her mother. But we do see the contrast with Mira and Violet being in the same room about how Violet talks to her mother compared to how Mira talks to her mother.
For sure. And also like how she rearranged things for her. Like
yeah,
and helped train Violet. Violet only had 6 months to train to go into the writer's quadrant, um, because she was training to be a scribe her entire life, and so she wasn't prepared. And her mom just kind of was like, going to be the writers.
Yeah, just kind of like that. Very much a bird pushed, like a mother bird pushing them out of the nest and saying, "I hope you can fly now."
And Mira was the, okay, well, if this is happening, I guess I'll help you. Like, I'll help you the best I can, and that is training you. Because she's been in the writer's quadrant.
Yes, because now Mira is able to talk to her currently.
Yeah.
But also just the fact that I love that Violet is a scribe through and through, with just how many books upon books upon books that she was like, I need to take these with me.
Yes. And Mira's
these
like,
are important.
No. Yeah.
And then Mira's like, you can't take any of this.
You have to cross the parapet with your backpack.
Yeah, with your backpack, and you can't have this in your backpack because you will fall and die.
Yeah.
Ashley doesn't know this fucking book. Ashley's like so excited to talk about this, and like she made up like half the book in her head, I guess.
I've just been imagining it this entire time.
I'm sorry, pause.
I think
you're so wrong.
Oh, Brennan, but she loved Brennan. Ha. Oh, yes, his chest pain started right after Brennan's death. I was right. It's right there.
Great. I'm so glad that you were right about one thing.
It's right there. I was right. You were right. We're all right. It's fine.
Great. Fantastic.
Where did we leave off?
Well, we were saying how fun it was that Mira was rearranging her backpack, and how Violet is such a scribe and tried to take so many books in.
Oh, yes,
and that Mira wouldn't let her take any in.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah. Yes, and then, very much a scribe.
Yeah, that Violet is so much a scribe that she wanted to take, I don't know, like, 18 plus books in with her?
Yep.
Just carrying that, and I'm like, can you carry 18 books?
I can't.
Yeah, so,
It is, yeah, and even earlier, I was just skimming the chapter, and she does say, like, oh, like, I'm not built to be a writer, like, my back is aching, because she was trying to carry too much.
Yeah, and I think Mira knew that. I think that's also one of the larger traits that I love about Mira, is that she is so in tune with not only her siblings, but, like, the people around her.
Yeah.
That, like, she knew that, like, just by looking, that pack was going to be way too heavy for her to go across the...
You do that with me a lot.
I mean...
Like, Ashley. But,
I mean... Gotta happen. It's,
But, yes, I do love how, like, sisterly and how caring she is, and how observant she is. And how she remembered to look at Violet's boots to change because the threads. That's right, the first time. The treads were wearing down, and she knew that it was going to be slippery and really hard to cross the parapet if she didn't have treads. So she gave her boots, and she also gave her the dragon scale thing in the first chapter.
Yep, which she was collecting for 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, off of, like, her own dragon, which I think is so...
That's really sweet, and it does say, if I remember correctly, like, dragons don't give their scales out, like... Yeah. They kind of keep them.
Yeah, they don't really enjoy people collecting them because they can be used for armor. They can be used to protect against a lot of different attacks because dragon scales are so resilient. Mm-hmm. And not only that, they are fireproof.
Yeah, if you got a dragon scale armor, if the dragons for some reason need to kill you, what are you going to do there if you have the dragon? Like, what are they going to do?
I mean, maybe...
Eat them?
I was like, rip their head off, because it's not like you can protect everything. But regardless, that's besides the point. But I like that Mira took the time to do that for her.
Me too. I really did.
You know?
Um,
Especially because they've had a year of no contact because Mira was in her first years in the writer's quadrant where you can't have any contact for the first year.
yeah. Wasn't she at the place already? She didn't just get out. They're not at the place at the same time. They didn't have contact for years, but she wasn't in the writer's quadrant when she was like making the armor and stuff. She was already.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
They were in contact. But they haven't been in contact for a couple of years. Because...
I'm dumb. It's okay. I misunderstood. I understood what you mean now. Thank you.
I'm so glad.
Thank you for clarifying for me.
Yes.
It's okay.
These kids.
And she also warns her against Xaden.
Mm-hmm.
Because Xaden is the son of Fenrirson, who was the head of the rebellion. And then General Sorengale, Violet's mother, killed him. So now there's
killed all of the adults in the rebellion. That was kind of the big thing is, that happened.
Yeah.
They were traitors to the realm, and so therefore
they had
execution.
To die. Yeah. But all their kids are alive for the most part. Like in general, like there might have been some they killed off. That was never said, but
yeah,
their kids are still alive. But the parents and the
and
adults of the rebellion died due to General Sorengale.
Yeah, and Xaden is one of the survivors' kids who has definitely made a name for himself.
Yeah.
Throughout his time at Beth Gaiath because of his skill sets.
Yes. And he bonded a strong dragon. That, that's not a spoiler.
I just want to remind you, we are still just talking about chapter 1.
That is true. Okay. And then Mira and Violet go to, in the line to, sign up to walk across the parapet. And that's where you meet Ree, Dylan, and Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to talk about Ree? And those characters?
I would love to. Try not to give you guys any more misinformation.
I'm trying, you guys. I'm sorry.
But Ree is I don't know, when we first meet her in chapter 1, she's just a girl standing next to Violet, coming from a rural town that is trying to do better for her family, because depending on where you are is depending on whether or not you have the opportunities to excel, financially and economically and socially as well. And so they just start talking about how they were raised and things like that. And then Dylan is also somebody who was standing close to them as well. That is telling Violet this beautiful story about how he has a fiance waiting back at home, and he didn't want to propose yet or get married before, but
because the Writer's Quadrant has such a risk.
Has a high mortality rate, and he is holding on to the ring, and he shows her the ring that he is going to give to his fiance after
the 3 years of the Writer's Quadrant. And then as they're going, you meet Jack, who is just this asshole that is kind of behind them, at least at first.
Just a really standout character in the fact that she writes him so strong. The moment that he is mentioned, you can just tell the energy level shifts, the intensity really goes up.
Yes.
And launching the arcs of the characters even more.
Yes, I feel like Rebecca Yarros does a really good job at introducing characters. Like, you can very much tell who they are, who they're gonna be within the first couple chapters, like first couple paragraphs even of like meeting them. You really see their personalities. Like when Mira was arguing, you saw that she was willing to stand up for Violet. Violet was a bit like sassy back, but then she did have her weaknesses physically, and so you kind of knew all that. And the same goes with Jack as well, because you, like you said, very strong.
Yeah, and then not only that is like while Violet is making these connections with these people around her, she notices that Rhiannon doesn't have good boots.
Yeah.
And she is like, hey, I think we should
switch one boot.
Yeah,
we both have a good boot and
a not so good boot.
And a not so good boot.
To increase our odds of getting across. Which I think really shows Violet's humanity in the fact that she wants people to make it across.
Yeah.
Because she, as a scribe, knows the statistics of how many people die and how many people make it. So I think that's something that's really fun to see about her personality and how caring she is.
Yeah, and even like the boot technically didn't fit Rhi, and she was like, hey, put it on, it's gonna be tight, but you need to make it across. She didn't like, comfortability doesn't matter at that point, because your life is a little bit more important than a small shoe. And they we did talk about, she meets Xaden.
She does. She meets Xaden right before she steps on to cross the parapet, and he asks her name. And kind of,
you can tell the tension is in the air for sure. There's a lot of tension. It's like, oh, it's like, you're the Soaring Gale that your mom killed my dad, like stopped the rebellion, and killed all of his friends and like parents and stuff like that.
And so, but like not only that is like, the idea of you are the offspring of somebody that ruined generations of lives.
Yes.
Almost.
Yeah. And so obviously he doesn't know how she is.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't know, like, oh, is she like her mother? Like, I don't know how to act around her, so that tension has to be there. Like, there has to be those walls up, and from what she's heard, she doesn't like Xaden either. Because she's heard that he was the son of Fen Ryerson, and she knows that Fen Ryerson was the enemy.
Yeah, and was technically a bad person, and so therefore, she is going to go along with what her parents say, which is something that happens a lot when you are a child and you don't know necessarily any better.
Yeah. And so then chapter 1 really segues quite well into chapter 2. Like, there's not really a break. Like, it just kind of...
Yeah, I do like how her pacing and like the flow goes.
Dylan died.
A couple of chapters.
Yes.
Yes, Dylan does die.
In the first chapter. I was like, wait, we're about to segue into chapter 2. We need to finish chapter 1.
He does die at the beginning of the first chapter. He goes onto the parapet before Violet does, and you kind of see him like fall, and you watch Violet's reaction of watching him fall.
Yeah,
about
panic.
Yeah, panic, being scared of, wow, I didn't think it was going to happen so soon. And when you've only read about death and you've never like experienced or watched it, and it's like when you see it, the fear is almost palpable, like in the air. And I think that's something that is a large point why people, I think, don't make it across the parapet, is because, yes, weather conditions, hard crossing, physically challenging, but the mental weight of watching people
because then it's
fall around
shit, I'm gonna fall.
Yeah.
Like, I saw them fall. I'm like, how am I? If they couldn't do it, they were bigger than me, how am I gonna do it? Or something like along those lines.
And I feel like Violet definitely has more of that type of mentality because of her lack of training, because of her lack of
confidence because she didn't grow up in that world, which goes along with training.
Yeah, but then also, like, her physical disability that she does, which everybody acknowledges from the beginning.
Yes, that is a big thing. Within like even like on the first or second page, it is brought up like, hey, like she can't do this. It is not explicitly said in the books. Rebecca Yarros has said it is EDS, and that she has EDS. I also have EDS, and it was really nice to see like the representation in a book, especially in a main character. I've never seen that in a book before, and I feel like it was portrayed very well. It's just like, oh, it's the constant aching, like they just pop out, like it's kind of what happens. And if especially in the writer's quadrant, that's very physically taxing, like it's gonna be hard on your joints, and especially if you have EDS, it's gonna be really hard on your joints, and you're gonna be sore and in pain more than the average person depending on the situation.
Yeah, definitely. I also think that just like that, like, bold statement to make, your main character have such a large disability. Yes, it is an invisible disability, but it is such a large disability that I don't think that people um think about every day, as well as it is a disability that I feel like a lot of people can forget that people live with that.
Yeah, because it's when dealing with chronic pain, you do adapt to how you do things to accommodate for your pain, so it is very easy to forget somebody has it. Like you just get used to the person, like, oh, they just do it a little differently. It's not like, oh yeah, you are in constant pain.
Yeah.
That like people don't think about it, because if you're not like that, like it's sometimes hard to like, oh yeah, like someone else can be in pain, like even if I'm not. Which is just a hard mentality to understand, because if you're not in constant pain, how would you understand what that feels like? Like that is something that a lot of people don't experience, and I'm very happy about that because it's not fun.
Yeah, but I think that it was nice just to see her do it, even in the first chapter, about how, like, the little things about how the way that her boots fit, changed the way that her ankles felt, how, the size of her backpack was how well she could move or twist her arms, or like little things like that. I think that all of that matters. And then even like going into like chapter 2, when she's actually on the parapet and then watching her fall so many times.
Yeah, like
slip.
hitting her knee, and she's like, oh, I dislocated my knee.
Yeah.
Because she hit it so hard. Yeah, so on to chapter 2, now that we've finished chapter 1. So she is crossing the parapet at this point. And Ree makes it across. So now she's going, and then Jack actually ends up coming up behind her and shoves the kid off. That was behind her initially.
Yeah. I think like shoving this kid off is like a very kosher way of you to say that.
He killed him. He shoved him off.
Yeah, but I just, for some reason, like when I imagine it, when you say the word shove, I think of like 3-year-olds like shoving somebody like down to the ground.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm like, no, like he charged him and shoved him, like football player style, tackled him off. You know what I mean? Like hit him, no stop. We're only go.
Yeah. And it's his intention was obviously to kill him. Like,
yes,
I want to go first. Get out of my way.
Yeah.
And he was trying to do that to Violet as well. And from what I read and like remember and everything, it wasn't really provoked. Like it just kind of he wanted to go, and Violet was in his way.
Yeah, and just in terms of like judging a book by its cover, him looking at her and being like, she's weak and we can't have her here, because one of the biggest like mottos or rules or like sayings in the writer's quadrants is you're only as strong as your weakest writer. And if the goal is to pick off the weakest link, then why not start now?
Yeah. And I do think that was his intention at first.
Definitely.
Because she is the weakest one there. She didn't have the training. She has a physical disability.
And yes, maybe these people may not know that she has a physical disability, but I do think that it is alluded to that a lot of people knew that she was more on the track to be a scribe.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's really interesting to see Jack chase her across the parapet and, you know, after she had already seen somebody die, but then the loophole that happens after.
Yeah. Do you have to say it or do you want me to say it?
I mean, go for it.
I mean, I explained the first part if you want to explain it.
No, you can.
Okay. So now she's on solid ground and she. So she's now saying her name to the. Oh, I forget her name, but.
The list taker.
The list taker. I was like, I forget her name. She's saying her name to the list taker, and Jack is trying to still kill her, and she turns around and points a dagger at his dick and is like, "You can't kill us because we are technically information.
Yeah.
Like, this is illegal. You can't do this."
But also, like, he draws first.
Yes,
like,
he does draw
which
first.
is why she draws hers.
Yes.
Because technically, you know, after giving their names, they are information.
Yes.
You announce your names to the roll taker who tallies the death toll, and you are not on the death toll, so therefore we are information, and so there is no blood able to be shed at this point while they're in formation.
Yes. And it's also, it goes back, circling back to the how she writes her characters. She didn't draw first. Like, it showed, like, she did it out of self-defense, not because she wanted to kill him or hurt him.
I think that also just shows that even, like, once again, like, how generous her humanity is with the idea of, oh, this person is, like, actually chasing me down and is trying to...
Continue. It got so bright. I was like, wow. Continue. So the person is trying to kill her.
Do you think that lighting is better for you to focus, or do you want to wait a little bit longer for it to get darker?
No, we're fine. No, we're fine. It was just
fantastic.
It got so bright.
I love that.
Continue.
So back to that. Back to our regularly scheduled programming, as I was fucking saying.
I'm so sorry.
Because we can't do this without getting distracted by the light.
Continue. I won't mention it next time.
She's gonna mention it again. She's gonna mention it like 4 different times.
I'm not.
So I feel bad for whoever is listening to the audio of this and is like, what is happening?
I won't mention it again.
I think that it just goes and, like, really shows her humanity.
Yeah.
And how she is willing to not only defend herself, but defend herself without wanting to draw blood or kill somebody, even when they are out for blood and want to kill somebody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that just shows something about her character, which I think is great.
Yeah. And also, the other thing that I did really, really like of chapter 2 is her reciting scribe stuff as she was panicking.
Yeah.
Like, the panic felt real because she was really, like, trying to calm herself down, and the narrator did a phenomenal job with this series.
Yeah.
She did very well.
Mm-hmm. If you guys listen to the audio book,
yes,
that's when we say that the narrator did amazing, we are specifically talking about the audio book, the unabridged book, not the dramatized file. So I think that is there's a big difference. And we should preference that now, is when we say that we are specifically talking about the unabridged one.
Yes, we always listen to that one first.
Yeah.
Because the graphic audios are fun, but they do cut stuff out. So
yeah, I just think that the unabridged version builds out the world a little bit more and gives you more of the idea of actually what and how the writer writes things, and not just how they write scenes or dialogues, because when you read a play, it is very different than when you read a book.
Yes.
So,
But the narrator did a great job.
yes, she did a phenomenal job
Really
at that.
did. She really did.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the early chapters, like her reciting shit, like you felt the nervousness, you felt the tension, you felt the panic, and the calming down from it. Like
Yeah.
she, and obviously that is also to the writing as well.
Yeah, to the writing as well, but then also to the writing as well, but also I do feel like it shows that somebody went to therapy for anxiety.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Just wanted
He
to throw
really
that.
did a great job with it
But
though.
yeah, like the idea of encapsulating that because, you know, that is a technique that a lot of people do when they are experiencing anxiety
Mhm.
of either recognizing something in a room or naming colors or what temperature your body feels like or even reciting your favorite song, poems, books and things like
Yeah.
that to quiet and recenter your mind. So
Yeah.
uh,
Like grounding yourself.
yes, but I do like the fact that she uses books to ground herself. I
Yeah.
think that is such a fun little unique thing in this series.
Yeah, it is. And I do also like how it is in first person. I feel like it really works for
Hmm.
this series. Like the first person, like you're hearing everything she's hearing, and you're figuring it out as she goes and figures it out.
Yeah,
Because you're in Violet's head constantly, which you do get really funny lines from time to time.
yeah, but
Yeah.
those aren't the lines that we're talking about
No, they're not.
because we're on what chapter, Ashley?
I'm not mentioning the chapters. I'm not going to mention the lines.
I know, but what chapter are we on now?
2. We're going to go into 3.
Good job. I
Because
was
we're
just
going
trying to
to 3.
segue. I wasn't trying to be an asshole, but
Oh,
I know.
it very much.
I know that I am constantly an asshole, so it is hard for Ashley to decide.
All the time.
Is Kaylee being an asshole right now, or is Kaylee actually being nice to me?
It was a good segue.
It was.
It
and
was a
then
good
you
segue. It's just.
ruined it.
I'm so sorry. I am the issue. It's okay. I acknowledge it. I will try to do better.
I'm so glad.
Katie's doing great.
I'm glad that we crossed the bridge, and now we're here. And now we're into
Chapter 3.
chapter 3.
Do you want to take this one since I took most of chapter 2?
I mean, I really think that we spoke
We
evenly
did spoke
about it.
evenly. That's true.
But regardless, so after chapter 3, and you come off such like a heightened level of a situation, you really do get like and adrenaline affects everybody differently, but I like the way that she described adrenaline for Violet being a very draining process for her.
Yeah.
She's feeling nauseous, she's feeling sick, she just like doesn't know what to do with herself. She's out of touch of like with her body. She doesn't even know if she can feel pain,
Yeah.
but she all she does is feel sick. Which is something interesting when you do have chronic pain to realize that when those situations happen, even you can blot out your own pain receptors and not be consciously aware of what or how your body is feeling.
Yeah.
Due to adrenaline.
Yeah. Adrenaline is a very powerful thing that.
Yeah. And
it's wild.
She talks a lot about adrenaline in this book, which
Makes
I'm
sense.
glad that she sets it up right here, within the first couple of chapters that this is the situations that we're gonna be in, and this is the level of anxiety that's gonna be out throughout the whole book.
Yes, she starts off with a bang and it doesn't really slow down too much. You get a couple breaks, but it doesn't slow down. And also, the first couple chapters shows like she's not scared of killing off characters.
Yeah, I mean they have been, obviously so far like side characters, but it's also like when you first introduce a book, it's hard not to
it's hard to kill off a main character if you're just starting in chapter 3.
Yes. But I love the commitment, and I love that she was very serious about this because I think it very much sets the tone of it being a war college.
Yeah, it really does.
And them being in a wartime and them dying and killing being such a day-to-day routine almost.
Yeah, it's this is it in the because it's just there. Like it's a part of this. It's not that big a deal in this college.
Yeah.
Like, people kill each other. People die from falling off dragons or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like falling off the parapet and things like that, and like people don't even make it into the school.
Yeah.
Which
and yet people still risk their lives to get in, which is it shows
conviction and a lot about people's characters, and like the fact that they push themselves to do that, even though it is some of the scariest shit you'll probably ever do.
Yeah.
So not only is she dealing with adrenaline coming off of it, but she's also, we talked about like the I'm feeling very sick adrenaline, but also like that adrenaline rush when you see when she sees her and she's like, you made it. We made it.
Like we did it. Like,
and that adrenaline rush of excitement to see, this person that and that you made a connection with and are like semblance of friends here. I love that.
Yeah, me too. And I also like the semblance of friends thing reminded me. It's like I really like how, because Violet doesn't know and because they're going into the Rider Squadron, nobody knows anybody. So you're gaining these friendships with Violet. Like, it's very interesting in how, like, there's not, except for Mira, there's not really pre-existing relations. They're all new relations because they all are now in the parapet. No, they're all in the Rider Squadron.
Yeah, and I think like those bonds are something that really force people to make bonds. Ha 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 ha. And so I think like that is something so fun, but also, even though yes, Ashley did just say that, we do get to meet Dane Atos in this first in like the first couple of chapters.
You do.
Who is her childhood crush. And I love
like best friend and crush.
I love the fact that she is like, he went from boyhood charming to drop dead gorgeous, and you're like, oh, okay, girl.
I swear, I'm like, I really love how you're in her head, because it's so funny where you get those little comments of like, wow, you are really horny.
I mean, yeah, but also like you have to think about like the age that she is at, and then
20,
not only that is adrenaline.
Yeah.
Adrenaline, it's actually like kind of like a research thing that adrenaline does, obviously because adrenaline is a form of endorphins.
That's why people like to do crazy shit.
Yeah. Endorphins are high, things are going, and that can also increase your sexual drive. So I think that is one of the big things. But I loved that she was just like,
wow, he's gorgeous.
Wow,
he used to be adorable and cute, and now he's gorgeous.
Just wow. It happens. And also just like the fact that it was kind of nice to see such a familiar face, especially because Amira is no longer able to be there with her.
Knew was sad for her. She was like, hey, like, I kind of liked having someone I knew who I knew had my best interest in heart, because like we said, like, death is such an everyday thing here.
Yeah,
she doesn't know, like, what if Ree wanted to kill her? She doesn't know that.
Yeah, she really doesn't know, and the idea of seeing somebody that she knew from her past that she felt like she could trust, and not in a, oh, we're really fast friends way.
Yeah.
It's we have years of experience and time and, trust in this bond, because of that. And I think that is just, it's cool to see her relief and her like visual and audible sigh of, oh my gosh, you're here. Like, you're here already. Like, I didn't expect you to be
here,
here, right now.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really fun to see her go through those reactions, like in real time.
I agree.
And he's like, hey, you're hurt. Maybe we should fix that. Why are you still hurt all the time?
He's like, ma'am.
Yeah.
Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he gets mad that she's there. So he's like, hey, like, let's get you out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I know how to get you out of here. Let's do it.
Yeah. But also, it's one of those things where it's like, sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, is he truly mad at Violet for crossing the parapet, or is he more mad at her mother for forcing her to do that?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's majority he's mad at her mom,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think it seems like he was mad at her for not standing up for herself and being like, no, I'm just going to go to the writer.
I'm just going to
quadrant.
There you go.
I got there.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Okay, there you go.
I got there. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. I do think that it is interesting to see how upset he does get, because he also is in that, like, the writer's quadrant.
Yeah, because he's on.
He is a writer.
Year 2.
And yes, he is in his second year. Which is why they didn't talk, the first year.
Yeah, because you can't have contact.
You cannot have contact with anybody during your first year.
Yeah.
And then I also think that it's so funny how he's just like very short with her at like that thing. He's like, oh my gosh, hi, so great to see you, but also what the fuck are you doing here? Now please go stand in line so that we can announce the death toll. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, and I also do think it's like shows how like trust is really earned here. Is like he was like, can you trust Ree? Like, are you sure you could trust Ree? Because Ree came over and was actually arguing with Dane, like, leave her alone. Like, like, Ree was protecting Violet. Dane was protecting Violet. So it was like this whole, like, can we trust each other thing. And Dane obviously learned that while being in the quadrant. And then Ree is learning that from training. And also she knows how the quadrant is.
Yeah. I just think that it's very interesting. Also, like, to see Violet be so relieved that Dane does have such a high rank.
Yeah, he does. He's a wing leader?
Yes.
Squad leader.
Yes, he's a squad leader.
He's the wing leader.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got there.
There you go.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, he's the wing. Nope. I just said it. Squad leader. And she was shocked that he was. She was like, wow, you're only a second year and you're the squad leader.
Yeah, but then not only that is, I think the reason why she was so shocked is because, like, she openly says it. Like, she was like, he used to be this kind of, like, small-framed, very nerdy, like, could, run around and climb trees, but also, like, nerdy guy that she didn't think would actually probably make it out of his first year.
Yeah. So she probably was like, wow, you're still here. Yeah. Because she hadn't had contact with him since he left over a year ago at that point. So she probably was like, oh my gosh, like, you're still alive. You're here. Wow, you look a lot different.
Yeah. And then just, like, him very much showing his, like, flexing his rank and being like, go get in formation, cadet.
Yeah.
And, her doing it, and then to see, Pancheck open up the death toll and be like, hey, only like 301 people made it across.
Yeah.
And 67 people died. And it's the first day.
I was gonna say that's the first day. Like that's
yeah.
Like nothing else has happened except for the parapet.
Yeah. And that is like the first day. That's the first opener into what the war college is really going to be like.
Yeah. And I do really like the death rolls that they do.
I think it's nice.
And obviously, the people do deserve more acknowledgement, but I am glad that they at least acknowledge them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people just kind of brush over it. Does that make sense? Like, a lot of, in, like, wars and stuff, like, fictional wars, regular wars, whatever. Like, people just brush over the death of the war unless it affected you personally, which is in this book where it's kind of like, oh, like, they read the death toll and the death rolls every single day. If there's one person that dies, they read the roll.
Which I think is, like you said, very nice to acknowledge.
Yeah. Because at least they commend their souls to Malik. And then
Are you gonna start chapter 4, or you want me?
we haven't talked about how Xaden switched the quadrants.
That's right.
And so then Xaden, makes it to the other side of the parapet.
Yes.
And he switches because Dane was like, "Oh, you'll be in my squad," but then Xaden, who's the wing leader, comes over and says, "Yeah, no, they're gonna be over here." So Ree and Violet are now in Xaden's squad and under Xaden's rank.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's the wing leader.
Yeah. And it's so interesting when that interaction between Dane and Xaden happens.
Yeah.
Because it is one of those things where it really is both of them have a lot of like dick energy. I don't know how else to say that, but it's dick energy.
It really is.
And
It's like
it is the let's see who has like
the bigger dick.
The biggest dick here. And I do think that it's fun to see as from Violet's point of view, Dane is this really like strong, confident, handsome man.
Yeah.
That has grown through the ranks, and yet still see somebody put that strong, handsome man in his place.
Yeah.
Say, hey, you're still a lower rank than me, and I got the final say of where people go.
Yeah.
Which I think is, obviously like such a power play for Xaden.
Yes, it is.
And just kind of.
And he was having fun with it.
Oh yeah.
The entire time.
Just like the way that he like does like little jabs at Dane throughout the interaction, I think is really nice.
Poking the bear. He's like, where can I poke this man? To just get under his skin.
Yeah, but I also feel like Xaden loves to poke people.
Oh, absolutely.
It does seem like, even so, it's like, we see everybody warn her against Xaden. We see a little like snippet of him when like they're starting the parapet, and now like the snippet at the end of the parapet, and even like taking names and stuff.
Yeah.
It seemed like he just was also still haggling people.
So much fun. And also just like you said, the power move of I'm just gonna move you here, gonna move you here, just to poke what can cause the most drama, and I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. And then also just like the idea of like, well, I can still do what I want because I have the most say.
Yeah.
And I think that is interesting to see that happen.
Yeah. Yes, and it's, again, you see his personality forefront in the beginning, like when you first meet him, like all of the other characters. And also, the dragons do make their first appearance in chapter 3 with the child person being burned.
The child dies.
The child is no longer with us.
Well, no, I mean, yes, as Dane and Xaden are doing this this dick energy contest here, some of the dragons do come up,
including his,
and including Xaden's dragon, and you get to see the first glimpse of like the dragons and how they are a very relevant and strategic part of this world.
Yes.
Which I think is so cool to see in the first couple of chapters, because honestly, when I started reading this book, I was like, damn, we're gonna just be sitting here like going through school, learning shit, and we're not even gonna see a fucking dragon until maybe the end. So
I would have been so upset.
I really do appreciate like the dragons coming. And then somebody breaks formation, and
the dragons are big, they're scary. He just ran. He was like,
but
ran away.
So it's like one of those things where it comes down to that adrenaline, the fight or flight reactions of when you see a large animal that is scary.
Yep.
Do you hunker down and face them, or do you turn tail and run and openly with dragons?
Yeah. And
turning tail and running means that you die regardless.
Yeah, and not in just this world, in like a lot of worlds. Like that's kind of just how they're portrayed. They're big, giant reptiles that have fire-breathing they're fire-breathing.
Yeah, they're ruthless.
They're ruthless.
They're ruthless. They're conniving. They're mischievous.
Yes.
And they're never known to be kind.
No.
Which I think is going to be interesting to see
as the series progresses.
Yeah, more examples.
Yeah. And then also like Sigale sniffs Violet like very intently. She looks at her very intently in this chapter.
That is true.
Which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Like how that happens so early. Again, like this she did such a good job mapping out like within the first 5 chapters so much happens. Like you can kind of, if you know the information, it's all there. Yeah. All of the information is there.
They don't mention the dragon's name. I'm pretty sure they just describe the dragon.
Really? Because they say, so I know they say, because I saw it in the book, they say Sigale in the first 5 chapters.
I know that they do, but I don't know if she knows currently at that time that is Sigale. I think
Dane tells her at the end of that chapter that, hey, that was Sigale. Like, why did Xaden's dragon do that to you?
Yeah.
So that wasn't a spoiler.
No, I know. Right, but I wanted to throw it out there that is Xaden's dragon.
Yes.
Which is who she's referencing.
Yes.
If you guys don't know the name.
But I said that. I said Xaden's dragon Sigale.
No, you just said, and it's so funny that Sigale sniffs her so hard. And so I just wanted to circle back around and say,
thank you.
It is Xaden's dragon that is sniffing her hard. Mm-hmm. But it was interesting that you bring up that point because somebody like, as us doing our reread and other people have like pointed out, maybe Sigale sniffed her because she smelled like a dragon because she was wearing Mira's dragon scaled armor.
Yeah, like why did she smell like a dragon?
Already.
Oh yeah, because she
already without even interacting with any of us.
Yeah, like why? And also like how did she get the scales? She probably didn't know how she got the scales.
Yeah, currently at that time, so it seems like a very interesting theory to play around. Yeah, it's fun to be like, oh, it's Xaden's dragon, so fun, but also
she smelled like a dragon.
Like, yeah, I honestly think that is probably one of the main reasons.
Oh, yeah.
But I have other theories. I have other theories that I don't know if we're ready to share on this podcast yet because we are so early on and we don't necessarily want to do all spoilers. So.
Yeah, which is hard. There's so many things I want to say.
I know.
That I can't because we're only on chapter 3.
Yep. But as we progress in the books, we'll do.
You get circles. All of it, yeah.
Don't worry.
The excitement and the excitement and it will go up. I feel it getting there once we talk about those theories. It's like, I'm like thinking about it. I'm so excited.
It's so much fun.
It's so fun.
But then not only that is Sigale does like sniff her, and then we see the cadet break and get burned alive by these creatures, and then Xaden is so nonchalant at the end of the chapter.
Yeah, he just kind of tells like, don't run. Like, you see what happens when you run, don't do it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it now.
He also like just is very much the remember you are prey. Remember you are the lowest on the food chain, and remember there's always going to be somebody stronger, bigger, faster than you.
Yeah.
Which I think is like such a hardcore thing to say in the first couple of chapters.
Yeah. She really just went all in for these first couple of chapters. She said, I need to hook these people in. I could do it. Yeah. And I remember I was even within the first chapter that I read, I called Kaylee and I was like, wow, it's really like going
very
for
intense.
It's very tense. I was like, wow.
Yeah. And then, after that, like it kind of like goes into like them going to sleep, which luckily she does like a little bit of a cut to
so now
help the pacing. But just seeing her in writer's black for the first time.
Yeah, in chapter 4.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the writer's black for the first time because black is earned. Like, the writer's black is earned. As said in the first chapter. And then she bandaged her knee, and so her knee is feeling a bit better. The bandaging helped to keep the knee in place. And Violet is scared of Xaden. Understandably so.
Very understandably so.
Seems very intimidating to meet.
Yeah, but not only that is like, you've heard so many things, and then also not only that is in this chapter, you know, her childhood best friend Dane openly says, you need to watch your back because I think that Xaden moved you into his squad to murder you.
Yeah.
Because he wants revenge for what your mother did, and he is going to do everything in his power to murder you.
Yeah. And
which is scary.
That is really, really scary. And it's interesting in how the generational... There's a word, not trauma. Generational revenge, I guess.
Resentment.
Thank you. I was like, it starts with an R. You know me too well. The generational resentment is very strong in this series, and it really gets into how, like, generations, like, if one person does something wrong and pisses off another person, that can go for generations just because it's passed down through, like, the family and stuff. So it showed, like, even in chapter 4 of, like, how it is very much and even with Jack, Jack, and, like, in the first chapter, it's her family did that to mine.
Yeah.
Like, her mom did it to my dad, so I need to revenge my dad. I need to revenge my mom.
Yeah.
My family. Which I think is really interesting, and I really like that topic in general. Just, like, how I really like generational trauma. Like, it is a big thing.
Yeah, and I think that she does, like, such a great job even, like, tying it in within, like, the first couple of chapters with these books. But also, like, it would be scary. Like, if you met, like, somebody who, like, who you've only been told about that is ruthless, conniving, manipulative, and, you know, intimidating.
And now you finally meet this person.
And they are all of those things.
And someone tells you, like, oh, hey, this person wants to kill you.
Yeah.
That would be really scary. I completely understand being scared.
Yeah. And then not only that, it's somebody that you trust implicitly.
Yeah.
You know?
She trusts Dane. She's known him since they were young. They were best friends as kids.
Yeah, they were best friends as kids. And then I think it is something to mention, you know, as they talk, they kind of talk a little bit more about his experience in the quadrant.
Yeah.
And what he, you know, was going through and things like that, and how dragons change people.
Yeah, and the quadrant very much changes you, and that is a very prevalent thing throughout the entire book. Like, this place changes you, like, it will always change you. And then as we get more into Dane, we find out about his signet. And that he is a mind reader, but you have to touch his face like this.
You have to touch them.
You have to touch them. Which he's a very touchy person.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Even in, like, chapter 3, like, when she comes across the parapet, like, one of the first, like, notable things is, like, he grabs her chin.
Yeah, and he also, like, rubs her back.
Yeah,
and he circles and rubs circles, and then, like, holds her hand, or, like, cups her cheek or something. Like, he touches her a lot. Like, he's a very touchy person.
Yeah, especially for her. And then, like, you know, in chapter 4, like, you can see, like, you know, they do have more of, like, that playful, like, banter, because he is kind of teasing her about, like, what she's been doing, like, while he's away, and things like that.
The banter in this series is so good. Like, just between all of the characters, I love the banter.
Yeah, the banter was really good. I also loved the fact that, you know, he was very much like, can you trust this person? And, like, so willing to, like, warn her about certain things. And, you know, you do see him touch her face in chapter 4.
Yeah.
Because he wants her to look and pay attention to him, which I think is very interesting, that, you know, your childhood best friends and you're just touching each other's faces. Which great, good for them.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, sometimes that physical touch is all you need.
Yeah, which I think is really interesting that she wrote about that. And then, we also see another part of Dane's character at the very end when he's like, "Hey, I know that it's scary to hear that this man wants to kill you, but if you stick to the rules like you did with Jack on that parapet and set and if you stick to the rules will prevent him from killing you just like they prevented Jack from killing you." So it's very interesting to see that, and that Dane does seem very stuck on the rules.
Yes.
In chapter 4 already.
Yeah, it's very early on that it's like, hey, you need to stick to the rules. Like, the rules is what keeps you safe. Yeah, and it's very early on. I really did not realize how early on a lot of this stuff was. Like, I was shocked when I was rereading it. I was like, wow, like, it really was just laid out for you. It was right there.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. As we go forward, I'm excited to see how much more was laid out. Like, this is just the first 5 chapters.
Yeah, this is just the first 5 chapters, and I do think like chapter 4 was probably the shortest chapter out of all of them.
Yes, it was. I think because that was like the rest chapter. Like, this how we like calm down before the next big thing. Because it very much, I did like how it had the ebbs and flows, but the downswings weren't like so long. Like, it was like this, or like more like this, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't.
Can you do that again?
No.
Okay.
But it wasn't like slow climax done.
Yeah.
Which we have seen in some other books.
Yeah, but I do like that, and then I like how it was like a very like easy transition from him being like, stick to the rules will protect you, now go to class.
Yeah.
So I like that segue, and getting into chapter 5. Segueing like with her in class, and this is like one of the first classes that they are taking as writers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because this is the first one she's really taken as a writer because of the quad. Like, she can know as much as she wants from the scribe studying and everything like that, but she's never really studied to be a writer. Like, there's a big difference. Like, she's read a lot about it, but she hasn't done anything really about it. So this is her first time, like, really, wow, this is kind of how this goes. How strange.
Yeah.
And it starts with an attack on the East Wing from Griffins.
Yeah, which is
so wild. That is
like, I mean, I think that it is so.
I really like it.
Nice to hear that one of their first classes is really them breaking down a real world scenario that happened.
Yeah.
And that these aren't just like theories that they're throwing around like in a school.
Yeah.
But these are actual solid events that happened in this world. Recently, which I think is very interesting to talk about.
I agree, and it's and she knows like the tactics and stuff, and like people make fun of her for it. Yeah, like that she's like, oh, it's very strange how the Griffins are attacking. Like, she's very confused about it.
Yeah. I mean, not only tactics, but geography. I think geography specifically played such a large role in this because, her saying, well, why were the Griffins, why were they that high up?
Yeah, because the Griffins can't be over like 10,000 feet.
Yeah, it's known that they don't do well in high altitudes. Why were they there?
Yeah, so she's really confused. It was like, was there a reason? And Jack makes fun of her for it, even though Professor De Vera says she is correct.
Yes. It is interesting to see, like, for lack of better terms, what a meathead Jack is.
Yeah.
Just because, like, like, that's just, like, it's very, school bully trope for
Yes,
him to do it
very
like
much
this.
is.
But I think that it does like lend to his character a
Mhm.
lot about how he is willing to sacrifice his brain to be the brawn in the
Yes.
class. But then not only that is he is willing to punish her or make her suffer or humiliate her at all costs now
Mhm.
after the first couple interactions.
Yeah, because
uh,
in the beginning it did seem just like a I want to go first type of thing. Like there wasn't really a motivation, but
mhm.
then after she threatened him and like stuck her dagger at his balls. Um she I'm so sorry. She after she threatened him after crossing the parapet, I think that's when it really much was I'm gonna kill you. Like now he
Yeah.
has a motivation because she embarrassed him.
Yeah, I think that it really is like that. Oh, you embarrassed me once, like,
Now let me kill you.
yeah, and now you're dead to me and you're gonna be dead to the world because of me.
Yeah.
So I really liked that. I like that he is just so hardcore in that.
He doesn't slow it. He's like, nah man.
Yeah,
I
no.
don't like you.
Like he is
The world
just
won't like you.
so hardcore about it. But also, the fact that it is hard to study all of this and the fact that she already has so much knowledge, I think really does like set her ahead in the classes when it comes to certain things like this.
I agree.
And you can see how when she analyzes things that she analyzes it, like you said, as a scribe
She
and
does.
not as a writer like some of the other people in her class do, because Zayden does say something in the class.
He does.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, he does.
He does mention, he's like, "Oh, that's such an interesting point. I wonder if they were looking for anything specific."
Yeah, and then um Devera mentions that the dragons felt faltering wards.
Yeah.
Like they felt like, oh, the wards are being faltered with or something.
Yeah, that the that the wards were faltering and that's why the riders came so soon after the griffins attacked
Mm-hmm.
because the dragons could feel it
Yeah.
change.
Mm-hmm. But I do agree that it is
Mm-hmm.
really interesting that Zayden mentions like, oh, like what's the ulterior motive?
Yeah, like why were they actually there though?
Yeah.
So very interesting to hear.
Yes. And also Ree was struggling, and Violet knows this stuff, so she was like, "Hey, why don't we study together?" Like they
Yeah.
start that friendship so early on, like you could tell, like they have each other's back so early.
Yeah, and I like that, just like the evolution from literally 2 to 5 is crazy. The fact that they're like, "Hey, we don't know each other, but, here's my shoe." And then now it's let's go study together
Mm-hmm.
and like really like not only are we really going to try to like prevent as many deaths as we can,
Yeah.
we're also going to try to live the best we can too.
Yeah, and it's that also is a very prevalent thing in the writers quadrant because it's you don't know if you're going to die the next day. Enjoy today
Mm-hmm.
like it is your last. Because it very well could be. And I know that's a saying in the real world, but especially in this world, very,
Yeah.
very well a good probability that you wouldn't make it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they don't really care what they do.
Yeah.
I know that in the first year, they always say, like, oh, we don't really try to have relations.
Yeah.
But, like, they do hookups. They do, like,
yeah.
They go have fun. Because
Yeah.
that could be their last time.
Yeah, it
having
could be.
fun.
Yeah. And so it's just like it's very interesting.
Yeah, and I also do, like you said, like their friendship grows so quickly, but it didn't seem like unnatural. It felt very natural for it to grow in the speed that it did.
Yeah.
Especially in the world that they are in.
Mm-hmm. I also think that like, re-asking Violet to help her study was such a vulnerable thing for Ree to do, especially because of if if the goal of this school is to weed out the weak wouldn't it be easier to
let her fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was like, hey, like, I know that Violet's gonna help me. Like, I know that Violet will be there. I trust her enough to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
And Violet said yes. Like, that's kind of how it went. And again, like, it didn't feel unnatural. Like, it did feel... It did feel very natural.
Yeah. I also think that, like, you know, going off of that, you know, you get the book smart class, and then they're walking into the sparring mats, and to see how the intensity changes from, you know, the theory of war and strategy to
physical altercations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To physical altercations.
Sorry, my hips were hurting.
No, I thought you were gonna get up and like leave. That's why I asked. Because you looked at me like you were concerned and like you needed to leave.
No, my hips were hurting. I was like, ow, so I had to move.
Love it.
I'm okay now.
So, you know, going from such a book class.
Yeah, like a book forward class.
Yeah, and then to go into this very physical like class where they are sparring. Like these are like people are fighting on these mats.
Yeah. And that's especially if like you've never really fought before. That's scary. Like I would be so intimidated going into that room.
Yeah, and just like also knowing like this is where people like train their skills. Like this is where you learn your hand-to-hand combat. This is where like the skills that you learn here in this room really could be life or death.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, not even in the room, like, because technically you can't be killed on the mat.
Yeah, as seen in this chapter.
Yeah. But it's like you said, like the real, like this is going to be applied later.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to see it, like the class and how they do start progressing throughout and like all the skills they start learning. But yeah, they can be killed on the mat, like you said, as you see.
Are you gonna segue, or is that
I was letting you segue.
I mean,
I was the segue.
Okay, I was like, I really set you up. Like you could have just started with it.
Oh well,
do you want to go? I think you should do it.
Okay.
Yeah. She loves talking about this part, by the way.
Do I?
Yeah, because when it first came up, she was so excited about specifically like these parts.
Oh, like the killing part?
Yeah.
I mean, so were you.
I mean, I was too, but like you were just so excited. I wanted to like let you have that.
Thank you.
You know, I wanted to let you have it.
Aww. We do like the death. It's fun.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like a lot of authors don't have the balls to do it. Anyway, so Jack is on the mat and he ends up like snapping a kid's neck. Like he just twists their neck and snaps the neck.
Which also once again goes to show how hardcore Jack Barlow is.
He's so hardcore.
Especially in the first 5 chapters.
Like, this is so much.
Like,
I feel like we've talked about him so much because he's done so much and it's been 5 chapters.
Yeah, in the first 5 chapters, he really, like, just shows that he is out for blood.
He really is. And he doesn't have a filter. It doesn't matter to him. He just wants to kill people. Specifically Violet, but like
See, it's interesting that you say that he just wants to kill people because I don't know if he actually does.
Really?
Yeah, and
I do think it is an intimidation technique for
sure.
100%. I agree with that. I think he enjoys killing people. He finds it fun. Really?
That's very interesting because I see it slightly different.
Okay, I'm ready. Please let me you.
I think that he... Yes, there is like that semblance of, oh, I'm finding it fun, so let's do it.
Yeah.
But I also think it's the idea of seeking power.
Oh, I agree with that.
I don't think he's like, oh, this is so fun, let's do it.
No,
LOL.
But I do think
I think it's the how do I gain as much power and as much intimidation and get people to follow me as quick as possible.
I agree with this, but I do think he likes the rush he gets from killing people.
Yes.
As well. Like, that's what I'm like.
Yeah,
not that he's really going out of his way to kill people.
Yeah.
But he enjoys it.
Okay. Then
that's what I meant.
I could agree with you on that.
No, I didn't mean like he's going out of his way to kill people. I meant it as like a, as you, like, when he does kill someone, like when he pushed that person off the parapet, when he snapped the kid's neck, like you could tell he kind of enjoys it.
Yeah, but then it's also like his way of, I do think that he does think that he is
great,
righteous.
Yeah.
And that almost, I kind of feel like Jack may think of these as mercy killings.
Mm-hmm.
Because what are you doing? You're weeding out the weak.
Yeah.
So more people don't have to die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and so in terms of things like that, it makes
a lot of sense
that, you know, Jack does think that he is righteous and holy in these acts.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is interesting to talk about, because you have, on the other hand, Violet, who is so hesitant to pull a weapon, who is so hesitant to even think about killing somebody, or so hesitant to look at somebody dying.
Yeah, and it's very much the polar opposite. Like, that polar opposite dynamic, I think she hit very well. Because it doesn't seem like, oh, he's just there to be her opposite, but he is her opposite. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly.
Like, he isn't written just for the plot.
Well, he isn't written just for her.
Yes, for her character arc. Thank you.
Yeah, like, he's not written just for her character arc.
Obviously, all characters are written for the plot.
Yes. Every character, surprisingly enough, is written for the plot. Good job, Ashley. I'm so proud of you for knowing that that's how books work. That's crazy.
Wow, who would have thought?
That I would have never thought.
Wow, really?
I know.
No, like, he wasn't written specifically for her character arc. Yeah. Which I feel like a lot of characters that are written that way, that's where people tend to fail at connecting with them. Mm-hmm. Because they fail as a character because they weren't written for themselves, they were written for a character.
Yeah. And then, you know, somebody that does pop up in this, like, later chapter that is just as hardcore, because...
You love her?
I love her. Just the first description of
Do you want me to grab it for you?
Of this woman?
I got you.
All I have to say... I love her. I love her so much. You will see why later on. But when I say I love her, I love her. I don't know if
I love her so much. Okay.
It really is that thing where I'm like, damn, she's hot. Mm-hmm. I love her.
Yes. There we go. Okay, Sorengale, the pink-haired girl looks over at me like I'm something she's scraped off the side of her boot, narrowing her pale green eyes.
I'm just saying.
And then it gets into, you should really dye your hair if you don't want everyone to know who your mother is. You're really the silver-haired freak in the quadrant. We never touched on that.
Yeah, that she does have
the silver hair.
Mm-hmm. And that's also why everybody knows who Violet is, specifically because of her hair and how unique it is, because that is something that isn't a
common trait. And it's like, even Mira or her mom doesn't have it, but everyone know that Violet Sorengale has it.
Yeah. Or a Sorengale does.
Yes.
You know.
And also another line that I really appreciate from Imogen is, "You bitch, your mother murdered my family."
Yeah. And then
just had to point that out.
And then the fact that, like, that goes into, like, the line of, like, you know, she is challenging her on the mat. She says, like, "You bitch, your mother murdered my family," and then just proceeds to, like, basically eviscerate her on this mat and breaks her arm and dislocates her shoulder and just goes hard. like we were saying earlier, where the generational um resentment is so strong.
It's so strong. And Imogen's also one of the marked ones. So the children of the rebellion parents are called the mark ones. So the ones that all died have a mark on them. Like the parents that died, all of their children have a mark on them. They are the marked ones.
Which is really interesting.
It is really interesting
when you bring that up, because as a society, they said that not only are their parents dangerous, but we need to mark them so everybody in the country and the continent knows
they are also
that
dangerous.
they are dangerous or dirty or unclean, or like they are related to somebody who was, all of those things, dirty, dangerous, unclean, whatever you want to call them,
and
really ostracized them.
Yeah, based on their parents, which goes back into that generational resentment. And it's also like some of the kids were barely walking. Like they were little. Like some of them were older, but old enough to like remember what happened, but a lot of them were young.
Yeah, and the fact that they were so young, and then as well as it's interesting to see that the generational resentment is growing up through these kids, even though they were orphans.
Yeah. Like, even if they didn't know their parents.
Yeah, even if they didn't. And I felt like some of that is like forced onto them because of how much resentment and hatred they probably got by just having a mark. Because
you see even like with side like little comments you hear in the people like around them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and it's always Violet always mentions, because she's the narrator in the book. Oh, it's a marked one. Oh, so like it's always pointed out. I feel like, which makes sense storytelling wise, but it is like as a society, it shows that, oh, it's a marked one. We have to point it out.
Yeah, it's like they really did ostracize these people for being relatives of somebody.
Yeah.
It's like if you think about it, wouldn't it be crazy if you committed a crime and then your children were branded as criminals as well?
Yeah.
So,
like, it's very much apparent that like because of their parents they are dangerous. Like, we cannot trust them. Even if all of the kids that some of them are in the wider quadrant vowing their life to protect the government and like the people of this continent, like they're saying like, hey, we're here to protect this country, and they're still like, no, like we are, like, even though they're vowing to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I just think that that's so interesting as a society that they would mark children like that. I think that's something that's really, really interesting. And also, like, there are rules regarding these marked children. So which I think is also another really, really interesting thing.
And yeah, and then so back to the fight between Imogen and Violet.
Yeah. I mean, it concludes pretty quickly.
It does conclude. Violet did not hold her own. But that's okay. It's her first fight.
Yeah, it's her first time being on the mat. It's her first time being in the room and stuff.
It makes sense. So Imogen breaks her arm. Like it. Yeah. It very much her bone snaps. That's how the chapter ends. It's about a page and a half. Nope, it's about a half a page.
Yeah, but I mean, also just like I'm gonna say again, and I will always say it, I really love Imogen.
I really do. She really said, no, I'm here for a reason.
Yeah. But not only that, is for some reason like that line just reminds me so much of if you've ever read it in Harry Potter at the very end when Mrs. Weasley like sees Bellatrix and like is like, you bitch, you killed my child.
Yeah.
That was like such a, oh wow, that was so similar, and I felt the energy shift and change to where you're like, damn, we love these balls to the walls characters.
Yeah.
And also not only that is we love to see a female character be so strong and pop off like that.
Yeah, yes you do. And it's not in a I'm strong because I'm a woman. It's I'm strong because I had to be. It doesn't matter that I'm a woman, I'm just strong.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the characters in this series are like that. It's never strong because of a disability. It's never strong because of woman. It's done in a very, like, they are strong women. It's a strong disabled woman, but it's never because of that.
Yeah, and it's like, what I really liked about this is you don't know if they have plot armor on or not.
No.
As the series goes on. And I think like that's so fun to think about, especially in the first 5 chapters, technically we saw, 67 plus people already die.
Yeah.
In the first 5 chapters.
The first 5 chapters.
So.
It's wild, and it's 3 of them got descriptions of it. Like, it wasn't shying away from, hey, like, it's not just the death roll. It's, hey, people are gonna die, and we will show it.
Which I think it lends to the idea of that this is really a war college, which I think is fantastic.
Yes, it was really fun. It really is. Like I said earlier, it's when I started, I was like, wow, like, it really is just going for it. Yeah. After coming off of slow books, like, A Little Life. We came off of A Little Life and a couple other books, but, like, they were a lot slower. They still had, like, big moments. Like, don't get me wrong, they all had big moments, but especially, and it's hard not to sometimes, like, comparing it to ACOTAR. That was very slow, where this one was just kind of, I'm gonna push you across the parapet, go fend for yourself in this series.
Yeah, which is something that I do like about her writing, but,
But that's a topic for next week.
Yes, that is the topic for next week.
Next week we're going over chapters 6 through 11?
I think so. Yeah.
So 6 through 11, if you are reading along, we'll meet you next week for 6 through 11. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This was fun. Yeah. It was fun to finally talk about a book.
Yeah, it was so much fun to talk about it. And so...
Yeah, and if you did read it, make sure to tell our little void what you thought about the first 5 chapters.
And then, if you didn't read it...
that's okay, too. You could just hang out with us and read it vicariously through us.
Exactly. And so, we just want to end with... what did the void say to you today?